Simon Wiesenthal said, "Survival is a privilege which entails obligation." I am forever asking myself, what can I do for those who have not survived? Today, we commemorate Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. We remember the murder of 6 million Jewish women, men and children at the hands of the Nazis. Since we cannot have a public memorial this year, we've asked many leaders to contribute their voices. When history looks back, Simon Wiesenthal said, I want people to know that the Nazis could not kill millions of people with impunity. Therefore, it's incumbent on all of us to never forget. We hope you find this compilation meaningful.
Hello, Mayor John Tory here, and I'm pleased to be able to join you to commemorate Holocaust Remembrance Day. We're doing it a bit differently this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that means it's possible for us to get together using technology, and thank goodness for that, but we can't be together in person, as I have been with you so many times at Earl Bales Park, at the Lebovic Center, and other places where we've had this gathering over the years. And of course, it's as important as ever that we should get together to mark Holocaust Remembrance Day. This year is particularly special because it is the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the worst of the concentration camps in the context of lives that were taken. But it's also important each and every year. I've said many times that it is so necessary that we hear the stories of the increasingly fewer in number Holocaust survivors that we can hear from and learn about this. And as generations come, future generations come, it's going to be just as important for them to understand what happened so that we can make sure, of course, that it never happens again. I want to say to those who are survivors or families of survivors that you have endured a lot in your lifetime, and that those who are in the families of survivors have borne some of the scars of what happened in the past, but nonetheless have come here, in many cases from other parts of the world, and built lives that are to be proud of, built lives that represent people that are not just here and not just citizens of this great country of ours, but also are pillars of our broader community, and of course pillars in the Jewish community at the same time. This ceremony is different, but it doesn't change the purpose of our getting together to make sure that we pay enduring and lasting tribute to those who lost their lives in those tragic circumstances, and to those who helped them during the years of the war, and those who eventually liberated them, those who served us in this country and served other countries and participated in the liberation of those camps those many years ago. And so I am hopeful that we can use this occasion, as we've done every year, and not just on one day, but throughout the year, to make sure that never again does this kind of thing happen. And I can assure you that as the Mayor of Toronto, I hope that you recognize the fact that I stand up each and every day whenever it's required, and it's not fortunately required every day, but that I speak up and stand up against anti-Semitism, against hate of any kind, because that is consistent with the fundamental values that we share as Torontonians, that we support each other, we respect each other, but most of all, we make sure that we treat each other in a manner of respect, in a manner of embracing each other because of our differences, and not ever allowing ourselves to go down the path of the kind of polarization that we see even today in the world. So again, I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person. I'm sorry we can't be together, because there's something very special about that togetherness and lighting the candles and all the things that I've experienced for so many years at these commemorations. But I wish you well nonetheless, and I join you in saying collectively, and as your mayor, never again.
After World War II, till today, one of the most commonly expressed refrains in relation to Holocaust memory is never again. But it wasn't always clear what those who expressed that idea, what they meant. For many, never again meant never again would racism or bigotry be tolerated. Never again would they stand by idly while others were targeted. But never again certainly means all of those things. But there's another definition and understanding of never again, which too many have forgotten. Never again means making sure the horrors aren't repeated, But never again also means that the obscenity of Jewish powerlessness will never be repeated. Never again would we be vulnerable. Never again would our destiny be in the hands of others. Never again is a reminder to Jews everywhere to lead lives of absolute rejection of bigotry and racism. But it also reminds us to lead lives to make sure that the Jewish people are strong and that the state of Israel is secure.
Reverend Dr. Cheri DiNovo here on Holocaust Remembrance Day. We Christians need to remember every Holocaust Remembrance Day because not enough churches did enough during the Third Reich. So we need to remember so that we do not repeat. And to paraphrase the Talmud, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Amen.
Before Passover this year, I called up one of my members who's a Holocaust survivor, and I wished him a happy Passover, although I knew it would be a difficult one. And he said to me, Rabbi, this isn't a difficult Passover. I've seen difficult Passovers. I'll be okay this year. That conversation encapsulates for me why I'm grateful to have Yom HaShoah v'Hagvura on our calendar, a day to reflect on the memory of those who were lost and the incredible acts of bravery that took place during those difficult years. It puts everything in perspective.
As a Christian, Yom HaShoah is a day for standing in the darkness, including the darkness of my own faith tradition's almost complete failure. Some did right. Many more did grievous wrong. And many, many more did nothing. I want to remember those who did right, the righteous, and forget those who did evil and those who let evil be done. But I don't have that luxury. I must remember all of it. And so I stand, not expecting an answer, praying nonetheless.
The Holocaust is a tragedy that humanity should never forget. We also remember there are some Japanese people, including the diplomat Senpo Sugihara, who helped many Jewish people escape from the Holocaust via Japan. The friendship between the Japanese people and the Jewish people continues to grow. On the Holocaust Remembrance Day, we'd like to renew our commitment to work together in eliminating all kinds of discrimination based on race, ethnicity, or religion. And the tragedy should never be repeated in the future.
A few years ago, I accompanied a group of pilgrims to Poland. We wanted to follow the footsteps of the great St. John Paul II. Those footsteps led us to Auschwitz, where in 1979 the Pope visited, and he categorically condemned the atrocities committed by the Nazis. Today is an important day. We need to do everything possible to never allow this hatred to be rooted in any human heart. Every single person is created in the image and likeness of God. All life from beginning to end is sacred, and we must do everything we can to condemn any ideology, any movement which seeks to undermine this truth. If we allow it to happen again, we will not have learned from these terrible atrocities. God bless you.
Shalom. On this Yom HaShoah, I know we are painfully aware that we are unable to gather together physically to remember the victims and martyrs of the Holocaust. However, I believe that this year we must gather together in spirit to recall their goodness, to recall their sacrifice, that their memories will always be for a blessing on every year, but this year even more so. Alone, but together. Amen.
This year at Yom HaShoah, I think about perspective. In calling one of the members of our community, a 90-year-old survivor from Hungary, I asked her how she was doing. Her response was, Rabbi, I'm doing well. I'm in my warm house, my refrigerator's full, and I have caregivers and family to look after me. During the war, I was alone, I was starving, and I was cold. All in all, I'm doing okay. That perspective, for me, is an inspiration in terms of how one can be resilient and survive this current crisis. If our people can overcome the horrors of the Shoah, certainly COVID-19 is something for which we can not only survive, but on the other end, thrive as well. So I'm thinking about perspective on this Yom HaShoah.
On Holocaust Remembrance Day, it is particularly disappointing to see how medieval blood libels re-emerge, especially in times of global crisis, such as these days. This is a reminder that we must continue educating, collecting testimonies, and eradicating any manifestations of anti-Semitism. There is still work to be done. The government of Israel will continue fighting anti-Semitism and racism. As the homeland of the Jewish people, this is our legacy and our commitment to the sacred memory of the 6 million.
Thank you, Avi, and the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Canada for this opportunity to address our friends in the Jewish community, most especially the survivors and their families for Yom HaShoah, as we commemorate together the lives and the heroism of Jewish people who perished during the Holocaust. On behalf of the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem, and the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, our historic partner since 2006, we want to assure you that you are not alone. For 40 years and now in over 90 nations, we have stood with you and continue to teach Christians, pastors, and young adults about the universal lessons of the Holocaust, about the evil behind anti-Semitism, and help to build bridges of understanding between us. Together, we shall remember and not forget.
It is unfortunate that current worldwide health events prevent us from commemorating Holocaust Remembrance Day together in person. However, we can still work together virtually to combat hate and intolerance and strive for love, justice, and understanding. As a sister of St. Joseph, we work towards and encourage love of the dear neighbor. Today, I pray with all of you that both our wounded planet and our fractured society will be healed, and that we continue to seek acceptance and understanding of one another. May God be with you today and always.
My mother and aunt are Holocaust survivors, and I have helped them tell their story for many years. They were children then, but they are now 87 and 89 years old and can no longer tell their stories. So Yom HaShoah for me is important for personal reasons, but also for its universal message. Never again applies not only to us Jews, but also as a day of resistance against so many world leaders spewing language that marginalizes those that are different, minorities, immigrants, and refugees. Nizkor, let us remember, never again.
Shalom. This is Fasih Syed, Chairman of Unity in the Community. We stand in solidarity with Jewish community while remembering those who lost their life in Holocaust. We show our sympathies for the grief families. Thank you.
When we remember the Holocaust today, out of the midst of our isolation, we may do so with a heightened sense of what it means to try and survive alone, far from family and friends, to be ill and in pain, what it means to fear for our loved ones, to worry about our future. The Holocaust is unique in history. Nothing compares to it. It was the systematically organized genocide of Jewish people by Germans, my countrymen. This remains a heavy burden of guilt and an obligation forever. Let this pandemic help us remember the Holocaust better, with greater immediacy, with greater empathy. Let us understand better that we need to stand together as societies and as citizens, regardless of faith, race, origin, to face down dangers threatening us all. It can be done. Each and every one of you today has radically changed their lives recently. And each and every one of you has thereby saved lives. And you are saving more day by day, the lives of the most vulnerable and of the weakest. Every life counts. Everyone is making a difference. This is the lesson of today, and this is the lesson of the Holocaust. Stay safe.
This is a time of uncertainty and fear and anxiety for so many now. And so it's at times like this that we draw strength from our history, we draw strength from those who walked before us, and we tell the stories of the courageous ones. Just recently we gathered at our Seder tables and told the stories of those who took a chance on freedom. And so on this Yom HaShoah, we also remember the stories and retell the stories and draw strength from those who walked before us. Not only do we remember the 6 million Jewish souls lost, including 1 million Jewish children, but we also tell those stories in such a way that we're able to honor the triumph of the human spirit. What can we say? What can we do? How to bear the unbearable or accept what life has brought to our people? They lived with faith, not all, but many, and surely many died with faith. Faith in God, faith in humanity, faith in the goodness that even flames cannot destroy. May we now find a way to a measure of that strength, to a measure of that faith. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers rise whenever Jews gather to remember. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of their unfinished lives. Zichronam livracha.